Hey everyone, it's May 22nd, 2020, and fingers crossed, but it looks like in 9 more days we'll all be released from house arrest. Actually, to me, it's going to feel more like being pardoned from death row because in the past, when I've been isolated and depressed, I have almost ended my life. So when we finally get out, it will probably feel, to me, it will feel like getting pardoned from death row. But some of the things I learned during the 2 months that I spent on either house arrest or death row, whatever you want to call it, is that there aren't too many things that I actually dislike. What I really have a challenge with is the adjustment from one thing to another. See, when we first went on house arrest and I had to adjust to not seeing my friends and my coworkers and going to my favorite hangouts, and when I went to the store and I had to try some new foods, I didn't necessarily dislike the other foods that I had to try. I didn't necessarily dislike the fact that I had to, instead of hanging out with my friends, take a walk on the Kirkland Connector Trail. You guys saw some of my videos doing that, or write some computer games. I never disliked any of that. What I had a challenge was making the adjustment, and right now getting out of house arrest is another big adjustment that I'm kind of getting nervous about. And kind of funny how I can miss my coworkers and now be dreadful about seeing them again. See, the big adjustment I'll have to make is that I got very comfortable over the last 2 months sleeping on my own timetable, not having to be up at a certain hour, and I sleep. I get plenty of sleep. And it's not like I'm being lazy and sleeping 20 hours during the day. No, I sleep 8 hours a day. It's just that when I don't have a commitment to have to wake up at a certain hour, my sleep schedule tends to drift a little bit from one day to the next. Right now I'm recording this at, what time is it right now? It is 5:15 a.m. and I'll probably go to bed at 8 a.m. today. I tend to drift a little bit later every day, and my body clock seems to cycle every 26, 27 hours. But you know what? When I go back to the 24-hour day, and next year when I need to travel somewhere and I get to enjoy some of those 26-hour days, I'm going to miss the 24-hour day. Adjustment is what's hard for me. It's not that I like or dislike anything. And what else do I have to... Oh, yesterday I talked about how sometimes face-to-face communication is difficult for me because I don't come up with the winning arguments, or not necessarily have to win, but the correct thing to say instantaneously. Oftentimes I'll say something and instantly regret it. It doesn't show when you watch my YouTube videos because you don't get to watch everything I ever say, right? I talked about this yesterday. I need to come up with a plan, a buffer, if you will. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and then I remembered one of my students. I do a lot of tutoring. And he's very slow and deliberate with his actions. And the reason I know that is that he often wants me to repeat something. I know he heard it, but he wants to buy himself time. So for example, I'll ask him if he had done some homework, and he has questions for me, and he wants to buy himself 10 seconds. And so he asked me, like, which homework are you talking about, even though I know he kind of knows, but he buys himself time to think about ways to answer things. And he's very slow and deliberate in a lot of other ways. One thing that kind of bothers me is that he often, I don't know if it's because he has a very tight schedule or something, he's often eating something while I'm tutoring him, and I have contact sensitivity to various food ingredients. I have eczema, and I have to be watchful for him. He's doing himself a kind of a disservice because when he does that, and I have to warn him about it, and then I got to keep a social distance away. We didn't have social distancing at the time, but I intuitively knew I had to keep a distance from him, and it really affects the quality of the tutoring he's getting. He doesn't seem to realize it or care, or he might just have other things going on. At the same time, the second reason this is so bothersome is he eats very slowly. And it makes me wonder, maybe I should slow down my actions and think before I speak or eat. I talked about how I had dealt with binge eating problems, and the fact that we have to think about washing our hands before eating sometimes helps. But even while I'm eating, I should be a little bit slow and be a little bit more deliberate with it. And it goes to show that a lot of times I don't give myself enough time to eat. And it made me reevaluate just what is important and what's not. Because, um, for example, when I deal with troublesome clients, this kid is not so troublesome. I've had other more troublesome clients, and they change their schedules a lot, and they're lowballing me or whatnot. And I take on a client like that, and I spend a lot of time. And the end result is I don't give myself time for meals. I rush and then I binge eat. I'm taking a big toll on my health just to make the few bucks and to deal with all the stress. It makes me reevaluate just who I should take on as a client now that I think about it. Anyways, getting back to the main story is that none of these things are distasteful in any way. It's just that I need to be able to make adjustments fast. That's a big challenge of mine. Every time I travel to my game conference, or if I go home to see my family, and it might only be a 2-week trip, and I spend a whole week just adjusting, and it seems like a big waste. I wasted a good part of the COVID lockdown just in adjustment, if you will, when I could have been enjoying some of these other activities more. I hope not to waste so much time adjusting mentally when I do go back to work and go back to seeing my friends and all that, and hopefully go drive home to see my family. Thanks for watching.